All right, top story of the day, a proposed rule that could have, in effect, banned Bitcoin across the European Union has been rejected by EU Parliament. The Economic and Monetary Affairs Committee voted 30 against, 23 in favor, and 6 abstaining Monday to keep a provision that limits proof of work mining, an energy-intensive computing process that verifies Bitcoin transactions, out of a draft of proposed Markets in Crypto Assets Framework, the EU's comprehensive regulatory package for governing digital assets.
The chart of the day is brought to you by Crypto.com, the world's fastest growing crypto app.
Right, see that barely there sliver of gold in this pie chart? That's Bitcoin's share of global energy consumption. CoinShares saying the Bitcoin mining network uses approximately 5 basis points, 0.05%, of the total energy consumed globally. Furthermore, CEO Jean-Marie Mognetti saying the global Bitcoin mining industry has a small environmental footprint relative to the aviation industry, marine transport sector, air conditioners, data centers, tumble dryers, and the gold industry. There at the end, just before Bitcoin. Currently, the worst carbon intensity is found in Kazakhstan, Montana, Kentucky, and Alberta, where a large amount of electricity is generated using carbon-intensive fossil fuels such as oil and coal. These 4 regions generate 43% of emissions while generating only 26% of Bitcoin's hash rate. At the other end of the scale, regions such as Norway, Iceland, Sweden, Quebec, and Manitoba produce almost no emissions at all, despite generating about 5% of the current hash rate. Ultimately, Mognetti is suggesting Western jurisdictions should do their utmost to incentivize miners to set up operations in Western Europe because they care about renewables and reducing their carbon footprint. Weighing the pros and cons, we end with a...
I would also like to add here, hello, everybody. You're watching The Political Vigilante. My name is Graham Elwood. That one of the things that I did a story on this about a month or so ago was that the Navajo Nation started doing Bitcoin mining using solar power. So they're doing like the cleanest version, and it's like empowering the members of the Navajo Nation. And they're being energy independent. And so like there's all these solutions out there. I'm so glad they're showing this chart showing how much Bitcoin mining actually uses. And everyone's like, well, it's dirty and bad. We should get rid of it. Okay, then everybody get rid of their dryers. Everybody has to line dry their clothes. We could do that. Everybody line dry their clothes. You got a dryer at home, line dry it, because dryers take more. I mean, traditional banking takes more. The aviation sector takes way more. No more plane rides. Unless we get clean burning fuel or electric airplanes or something, no one can fly in a plane anymore. We want to do that. We're ready to do that. If the whole world agrees to it, I'm fine. I like traveling, but you tell me I got to take I got to take a high-speed rail. Like, let's build the high-speed rail coast to coast in the United States, and then we don't need to use planes anymore. Let's find a plant-based, clean-burning airplane fuel. Can we do that? I'm all for that. Banning Bitcoin mining is not the solution, because Bitcoin mining represents, as she said, almost nothing. So just wanted to bring that up.
From Bitcoin inventor Satoshi Nakamoto saying the utility of the exchanges made possible by Bitcoin will far exceed the cost of electricity used. Therefore, not having Bitcoin would be a net waste. All right, joining me now to discuss is Corey Clipston, CEO of Swan Bitcoin, a Bitcoin-only trading platform, and author of the upcoming book, Bitcoin, Your Bright Orange Future. Hey there, Corey. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Christine. Thank you so much for having me.
So this vote from the EU Parliament really brought to the fore a conversation on environmental concerns that have to do with proof of work mining Bitcoin, as well as, currently Ether. So I wonder, perhaps you could weigh in on this debate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was touch and go there for a minute. It's been boiling toward this day for the last few weeks, and it was a nice surprise to see that it in the end didn't make it through committee, and that provision was struck from the bill. And so I think it's a good day for Europeans, and for Bitcoin.
But it was a
broadly.
close call. So I'm wondering, it seems that there are a lot of concerns about the environmental impact of Bitcoin, but would you agree or disagree, or where do you see the industry headed?
Yeah, so there are two ways to think about this. One is the first principles argument of just saying, who gets to decide what people spend their energy on? What do they use their energy for, right? Is it massive data centers that have huge carbon footprints, like for Amazon and Google, and that's okay? Is it Christmas lights, or is that okay? Is it, as you noted, tumble dryers that already use more than Bitcoin does? Or do we decide as a society that, essentially having state-free, uncontrolled money that is for the people and by the people, is that a good use of energy? And so I think it's a good thing that they stayed out of it and didn't try to legislate something that the market should justly decide.
Why
and then
do you
there's
think,
sort of go ahead, sorry.
Why do you think Bitcoin gets targeted for these ESG concerns above and beyond what, tumble dryers?
Yeah, I think honestly, probably the main reason that it gets targeted is because you have altcoins and altcoin fund promoters essentially trying to FUD on Bitcoin and create a problem that only they have the solution to. Sort of kind of a classic.
Which is a good. I didn't realize that. He's bringing up that like some altcoin creators are trying to make Bitcoin out to be bad. But let us not, and maybe he's going to get into this. Let us not forget this. This is a threat. The Bitcoin specifically is a threat to the central banks. Okay, this is a threat to the central banks, and the central banks don't, because they're seeing their power getting. We're seeing it in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, right? People are donating to Ukrainians using cryptocurrency. Russian citizens have begun to circumvent the sanctions against their country by moving their rubles into Bitcoin. I talked about that within the first 48 hours. There was $1.5 billion in rubles that got switched to Bitcoin. So Joe Biden said it last year, Bitcoins will limit America's ability to sanction countries. Yeah, that's overall, that's a good thing. Sanctioning is an act of warfare. So like he said, it's money by the people for the people. So let's not overlook all those.
Grifters playbook to say, hey, Bitcoin mining is bad. Look at my proof of stake coin, or look at my proof of whatever coin, or look at my sort of more decentralized or more centralized ledger that doesn't use energy. And I think that's probably where most of the talking points come from for these government initiatives around the world is really just taking their talking points from the altcoin industry.
Mm-hmm. Just switching topics. So Bitcoin Swan really helps people turn their savings, paychecks into Bitcoin. I wonder, do you have traction in places like Russia or Ukraine? And what happens in the instance where now, there are even sanctions on Russia?
Yeah. So Swan Bitcoin, swan.com is the URL. And we are a Bitcoin only on-ramp, and we serve over 100 countries, but we do not serve Russia or the Ukraine. So kind of clear of that conflict, but we do serve most countries around the world.
What are the latest stats on Bitcoin, Swan Bitcoin, in terms of users? What proportion of savings and their paycheck is being converted to BTC?
Yeah, so it's hard to say broadly what percentage. I don't know what all of our users actually get paid, and that's just one of many services that we offer as far as on-ramps. There's retirement accounts with IRAs. There's people just making large one-time purchases by wire transfer. So it would be hard to say anything specific around percentage of paycheck. I can say that something on the order of, I think it's about 2/3 of our customers actually do have an automatic recurring purchase plan set up. So they're stacking automatically every day, every week, or every month, essentially matching to their fiat inflows from their jobs, which is pretty cool.
And is it strictly retail or some institutional buy-ins?
So it depends on how you define institutional. We have a lot of company buyers, but our focus is really on kind of the small and medium-sized businesses where the person making the decision is actually making the decision essentially for themselves. So our purchases are generally sub $50 million. Above that, you're going to get pretty good service from, the DRWs and the Genesises of the world. But anybody sort of sub 50 million, if you want to have really white glove service, our Swan Private Client Services division does a great job with high net worth individuals, family offices, and small and medium-sized businesses buying Bitcoin for their treasury.
I also have a question from a colleague. So Swan Bitcoin's KYC, know your customer provisions are pretty onerous now. My colleague started, off with Swan Bitcoin pretty early. The process took about 5 minutes, but now it's been tougher for newcomers. Last Christmas, he gifted a small amount of Bitcoin to a few people, and about half of them didn't accept it because it was too difficult to open up an account. And for anything but the smallest of Bitcoin buys now, Swan makes people wait 30 days before being able to withdraw, I believe. So I understand the regulatory pressure you must be under is high, but what do you think about how things have changed versus what you envisioned when starting Swan Bitcoin?
Yeah, so that's actually not true. That's false. Our average time to onboard people is actually down significantly year over year. It's very possible that people who are receiving a gift are not as adept at signing up with KYC processes, and maybe somebody that's signed up for multiple crypto exchanges is just more comfortable with the process. But yeah, almost everybody gets passed within 3 or 4 minutes, and in fact, it's decreasing significantly. And we've gotten so much better at fraud detection and sort of risk scoring. Almost everybody will be able to sign up with their.
So, I mean, now he's getting into just basically promoting his thing, but yeah, there's how it's affecting. There's how it's affecting the EU thing. That's actually good news. And he didn't really have much to say on Ukraine and Russia because they don't do business there. But that was an interesting point of view of. He believes, that's just his opinion. I don't know this guy personally, but he seems to be pretty well versed in the field if he owns in his own exchange, of that he thinks it's altcoin creators trying to stir this up. I think I'm sure there's some truth to that for sure, but I don't think we can deny that this is the Bitcoin specifically is a threat to the central banks, and that's why they're so against it. So I would check that out. Follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth. Shave your knuckles for justice. Boom. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. We are still in our 9th month of demonetization from YouTube. So support what we're doing at patreon.com/Graham Elwood or rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, which is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. It's free to sign up, and there's a premium level at $10 a month. And for that, you get everybody on the platform's premium content. Myself, Lee Camp, Ron Placone, Jimmy Dore, Whitney Webb, Kim Iverson, Abby Martin, and many, many others. You can also support what we're doing at Venmo at Graham-Elwood and go to GrahamElwood.com. We have a PayPal button and a PO box. I also have crypto wallets, which are all in the show notes. Thanks for supporting what we do.